dragons remain, Duncan Bannatyne and Rachel Elnor. Her chances of winning them over look slim.
I'm amazed actually that you could not know the difference between gross profit and net profit.
No, I do know the difference. I just got confused with the question because I didn't have my figures in front of me.
Right. Not from a sheet of paper, you should learn it. I think you probably regret not having done that today, but that's a learning club, so I hope you've learned something and you've learned enough to continue. So I'm out as well.
Thank you.
Duncan Bannatyne has also been put off by Rachel's shaky grasp of the figures. With him out, the only dragon left is Rachel Elnor.
It doesn't seem like you've prepared very well to come in front of us today. You don't know the difference between gross profit and net profit. You haven't got the figures in your head. Quite apart from the fact of whether it will sell or not, and I think there's big question marks over that.
It will sell because it's not only got the tourism market, it's got the mainstream market.
Rachel, I do feel for you because you've come into this environment. You remind me of a bit like a sort of lamb to the slaughter in some ways. I think your presentation was a bit confused. I don't get the sense that you've just got that kind of business snappiness. It really isn't an investment for me. I'm afraid I wouldn't back you.
It's the end of the road for Rachel. She's leaving the Dragon's Den with nothing. When it came down to it, it was Rachel's pitch and not her board game that cost her the investment.
She just seemed too nice and just be eaten alive in business.
She's a crappy investment.
Next up is Paul Thomas, a PhD student from Sheffield. Now, he thinks his research has led to a scientific breakthrough, but he needs £75,000 to make it into a business.
Okay, hi, my name's Paul Thomas and I'll be representing my company Mycorrhizal Systems, and we're looking for an investment of £75,000. Now, Mycorrhizal Systems is a company based around the production of black truffles. The truffles are actually a form of underground mushroom and it grows in conjunction with tree roots, and the demand for these truffles is currently so high that they command more per unit weight than is paid for gold on a wholesale price. That's £1,000 a kilogram based on last year's prices. Because of this high value, many people have tried to cultivate their truffle, but only very few have succeeded. What we've developed is an enhanced technique, and using this enhanced technique with 2,500 trees, we can expect a turnover in excess of £1 million within this 5 to 7 years. And what we're asking for is the £75,000 is to buy land so we can set up this plantation. There's also the potential of a 10% profit share. And if you take this, this will give you an income of in excess of £100,000 a year. So in summary, Mycorrhizal Systems represents an environmentally sound, financially secure, and potentially very high-yielding investment. So thank you for listening.
Paul has come up with an unconventional plan to use his own research to start a truffle plantation. He needs £75,000 to buy land, and in return he's offering a 10% share of his profits. But before they get down to business, Duncan Bannatyne has a problem.
Please excuse my absolute ignorance.
Yes.
But I have to ask, what is a black truffle? I've never heard of them.
Okay, sorry, yeah, it's a very highly prized form of fungus which grows underground, and it looks kind of like a warty black lump almost, but they command very high prizes.
What do you do with them?
You must have had them at the Ivy, sprinkled over your pasta.
It's food.
It's the most delicious gourmet taste you could ever have.
Or a little black truffle sauce.
No, you really are. I just had to ask that one.
Wild truffles are rare, and because they grow on the roots of trees, they're notoriously difficult to find. Paul says he's found a way of cultivating trees in the laboratory that he guarantees that truffles will grow on.
So nobody else is trying to culture them in the laboratory environment?
I don't know anyone who has cultured it. Obviously, it's a very secretive business.
And you can successfully, on a repeatable basis, culture it in the lab?
Yes.
I buy everything you said. You've got a real innovation here. I'm trying to figure out where your stage you're at so I can figure out how one might make some money on the thing.
Okay, we're ready to get the trees started and germinated and get them in the field, but we haven't produced the truffles.
So what we know right now is that you can do it in the lab?
Yep.
Paul wants to spend £75,000 on buying land for his truffle plantation, but Doug Richard has discovered that he hasn't actually grown any truffles yet. Simon Woodruff needs convincing.
how do you know whether this works or not? Or when will you know?
Period of time before they start yielding will be 5 to 7 years. So before we know that that they're producing these top yields will be then.
So you've got to wait 5 to 7 years, and the investor's got to wait 5 to 7 years to see if this works or not. So you had me. You appeared so confident.
Yes.
And you seem to know your subject so well.
Yeah.
But now I'm thinking this is a great big gamble.
The Dragons have realised it could be up to 7 years before Paul finds out whether his extraordinary venture has succeeded. This is a long wait and a big gamble for any investor. For £75,000, Peter Jones isn't prepared to take the risk.
This seems to be such a dream, and it's a dream beyond belief. All I can tell you is that if this works, guys, it's going to be great over 5 or 7 years. You can't expect an investor with any level of solid thoughts, apart from this maybe a bit of fun, to invest in that business.
Peter, Paul presented really well, and actually you've come up with something that I suspect is unique and actually very marketable, and I think you should be applauded for that.
Well, Rachel, you need to hold on to your money, because you're going to lose it very quickly if you've got that attitude. At the end of the day, if it's not going to make you money, you shouldn't be interested.
The proposition that Paul's put forward is actually, this is an investment in a piece of freehold land with a profit share on what you can yield. Yeah. So actually, from that point of view, it's actually a pretty good investment, because you're investing in a piece of freehold land, and we all know where land goes ultimately over long periods of time. Generally speaking, it goes up.
Well, I could invest in land tomorrow. I could go and if somebody could come and pitch here, I'll stand up there and say, 3 pieces of land, Rachel, there you go, here's £100,000 I want today.
But
we all know land increases, that's not a reality of life.
It's a protection on your investment, isn't it?
That's a nonsense. I think for me, we may as well go and invest in a garden centre, because that's what the reality is.
They do very well, Peter.
And I'm sure they do. I don't think this is ever going to make money. This is a pipe dream from university that you've had, so I'm out.
The first dragon is out. Paul's truffle plantation has created a huge difference of opinion between Rachel Elnor and Peter Jones. Duncan Bannatyne has thought of a different problem. Truffles worth more than their weight in gold, left in a field?
If you don't secure your land before you start harvesting the truffles, they won't be there when you go to harvest them.
We would have to have very strong fences put in place.
Where's the money coming from?
For the security.
Yeah.
That would come as soon as we start to harvest the truffles. As soon as we start to harvest them and get them out and we know they're producing, then that first year's profits would be incorporated.
I don't know if you're putting the chicken before the egg or the egg before the chicken. How can you harvest them if they've been stolen? And how can you fund security if you haven't harvested any to fund it? It doesn't work out. It's bizarre.
Because
I think you're in dreamland, honestly. I think you should really try a different method of making money out of this.
Yeah.
And so I'm not going to invest.
Bannatyne is out. The Dragons are pulling apart Paul's idea bit by bit, with no means of protecting his valuable truffles and a 7-year wait for uncertain results. Paul's proposal looks more like speculation in land than investment in a business. And there's more bad news.
Paul.
Yes.
I'm not really interested in buying land and hedging it. I think it's an elegant proposal, and I think there's a category of investor who will find that attractive. But what I find interesting are high-risk, high-return investments.
Yeah.
So I wish you the best of luck, but I'm out.
So far, Paul has not persuaded anyone to invest in his adventure. Duncan Bannatyne, Peter Jones and Doug Richard are all out. Whilst they aren't prepared to throw their money into his idea, it seems one dragon might be.
I think this sounds a lot of fun, Paul. I really do think it sounds a lot of fun. How much is the land going to cost?
We're budgeting £75,000 for the land, but potentially we could get it a lot cheaper.
How much land?
5 hectares.
Do you know where it is?
I know. I've got a rough lot with me.